right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I know we just took a little hour break, so a little heel heat. Saw you guys
You're
show. Good
different,
stuff.
Paul.
Hey, got quick tan. I'm in Florida. Nosebleed section is back with our first stab at the NFL mock draft. Now that the NFL season is over, excuse me, and all the teams and all the orders set of the draft for now, at least, barring any trades or anything. All the All-Star games, all that stuff. We have to wait for the HBCU Legacy Bowl though, coming next week. All the HBCU teams and everything. But pre-combine and pre-free agency, all that stuff. Take our first stab at it, see what happens. We are using Pro Football Network. For everybody watching, we will be user controlling every team. We will go around in a circle. Well, I guess in a row. It's not really a circle. We'll go down in a row. We'll go pick by pick analysis, and we'll see where it lands us. So I'm first on the board, and followed by Jay, right? And then Minji. So we're doing it?
Yep.
Sounds good to me. All right. So with the first pick on the board, I will not be trading because, contrary to all these rumors, I just think it would be the most stupid thing for the Bears to do here, which is crazy to me. I mean, look, if they go to trade back from or trade back from 1 to 2, and still get Will Anderson, I'm all for it. Stockpile picks. But this whole Jalen Hurts rumors, Justin Fields rumors are just ridiculous to me. It's too cold to play in Chicago. Not a fan of it. When you played in Ohio, like NFL GM supposedly said that the Bears were really invested in the Senior Bowl quarterbacks, and I'm like, who was there that really impressed you like that?
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's where it got extreme. Like the other stuff I can laugh at and just be like, I can see a modicum of truth. But when you start throwing in Senior Bowl court, I'm like, all right,
yeah,
don't lie to me.
Like
you doing
that.
too much.
That was that really got me. I was like, they were like really impressed by Senior Bowl players, and I'm like, who? Like Jake Hayner,
Hoomst.
Max Duggan, like
Hoomst. Hoomst, sir.
exactly,
Hoomst.
exactly. So stop the noise. You know where I'm going. I'm going Will Anderson Jr. on this one. Like, there's nothing else needs to be said here. Number 2 on the clock, Jay, is all yours.
So this one is so much more interesting than it was a month ago for me, just because I'm hearing a lot of like now you have D'Amico Ryans as head coach. I believe the last rumor I heard was that they're trying to get Cliff Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator.
I heard something about that as well.
But as it stands right now, there is no offensive coordinator. So I'm just kind of looking at the Texans for what they are. I've heard a lot of noise. So for me, when there's smoke, there's fire. That there are real concerns around the NFL from several NFL GMs about Bryce Young's size and his transition to the NFL, and how is he going to fit? How are you going to play him? How are you going to have to play around him to cover up his deficiencies? So I think I'm going to make the obvious pick, but I do think there definitely is some validity to CJ Stroud being a real consideration here. I don't buy the noise that Will Levis is becoming, somehow the number one, only because every time there's been a quarterback that has snuck into number one that we didn't expect, it always came out the week of the draft. That's when you believe it. If that happened, if this was the week of the draft, I'm like, oh shit, they're going to take Will Levis. But as of right now, the only other competition I could see is CJ Stroud simply because of his size. But knowing that D'Amico Ryans has ties to Alabama, knowing that D'Amico Ryans wants a certain kind of quarterback to lead into this next chapter of Texans history, I'm going to go with Bryce Young just for the character, for the play, the fact that he's a gamer. I understand the size. I understand his limitations, but I do think that D'Amico Ryans, considering where he's come from and the coaching staffs that he's played for, can not only get the best out of Bryce Young, but will protect him in a way where he can still be successful and he can still be that uber talent that we saw at Alabama. So I'm going to go with Bryce Young.
Okay, going Bryce Young here.
All right, that puts me up on the board with the Arizona Cardinals now. I have a little bit of not. I'm not going to say hatred, but I am going to say that I'm not. I'm really not impressed with Kyler Murray so far. That being said, I don't think Arizona's really in position to actually change that at the moment. Granted, they decided, a couple of drafts ago that they were going to take quarterbacks number one or their number one overall in back-to-back years when they decided to take what's his
Josh
face?
Rosen.
Yeah, Josh Rosen. I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head, and then going to Kyler Murray. But you gave Kyler Murray all his money. So I think you're going to have to stick with him at least for a little while just to see if he can play out that contract or until that contract becomes feasible enough to actually move on from him. What I would do as the Arizona Cardinals, seeing as how you just had an all-timer retire on your defense, you need to replace that as soon as possible. Now, the thing that I have a problem with is the fact that you have two amazing defenders staring you in the face right now. Jalen Carter from Georgia and Miles Murphy from Clemson. I don't necessarily know which way they would go, but just judging on the rankings right now, I'm going to go forth and pick Jalen Carter.
That seems to be the consensus for everything I'm seeing. He's a top 5 guy, so I get it.
Yeah. I just personally think because I think Jalen Carter's in play uh for Chicago because of Wink's defense and the fact that Jalen Carter's projected to be the same level of game record that you got in a Aaron Donald, a Quentin Williams. Like he's that kind of game breaker that you put in the middle of the defense and you build around. And I think Chicago's in the place where, they need everything, but they need a linchpin on that team. I like Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson is special, but I don't think he changes Chicago the way a Jalen Carter can. And it's kind of the same thing that I feel about Jalen Carter going to Arizona because, like you said, Arizona just lost an all-time great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jalen Carter is the type where, with the new regime going into Arizona, they want a guy that they can hang their hat on and be like, this is our franchise. That guy isn't Kyler Murray. It's not until he proves otherwise. I think Jalen Carter is the right kind of fit, comes from the right pedigree that allows for Arizona to really hit the reset and to kind of create a new identity for itself.
All right, I guess that puts me back up on the board at 4.
This is where it
At
gets
4,
interesting.
I mean, not really. He's staring right in the face here.
Well, love it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right. We'll love it. Yeah, right. No, I'm going CJ Stroud. The Colts keep taking these rental quarterbacks year in and year out, from Phillip Rivers to Matt Ryan's and everything. And Sam Ellinger's not the guy either. Sorry. They have some pieces in place. Again, you have a franchise back in Jonathan Taylor. Your O line was decent, but they can use some upgrades. They got some weapons with Michael Thomas. Michael Pittman, sorry, Michael Pittman. The solid number 2, but you need a quarterback to get the ball to him. So, yeah, CJ Stroud staring me in the face. He'll be the franchise quarterback there. John will probably hate me, Benji, but CJ Stroud's going to the Colts at 4.
He's going to hate all of us. Doesn't matter.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Only thing I can kind of say to rebut that is from what I'm just listening to a lot of the noise and trying to like sift through the noise. Chris Ballard is a guy that if you look at every other draft pick he's had, he's more about traits than production. And CJ Stroud's biggest thing is that he's such an on-schedule quarterback that if you have him go off schedule, he goes off the rails. I think Will Levis screams so much of, ceiling could be Josh Allen. Let's say ceiling could be Josh Allen. And he has the kind of traits where on a team like that, you don't have to lean on him. And he can use a lot of what, got Jalen Hurts through that first few years of using his legs until his his mental and his arm kind of caught up. And considering that the Colts just hired, I believe it was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Yep.
I see the similarities so much so that I as much as I like CJ Stroud, I think with the ceiling of Will Levis and the fact that Chris Ballard needs to sell promise more than production, I think Will Levis is a real possibility here. I think CJ Stroud is the safe route, but I never took Chris Ballard as being the safe guy. So that's the only thing I would probably say I would personally have taken Will Levis here for those reasons over CJ Stroud. And it's not a knock on CJ Stroud. It's just when we kind of know who you are, you give us a little bit extra. So it's like, okay, you got a little bit more of the other stuff, but not enough for me to be like, oh, this completely changes my opinion of you. And the only reason why I would take Will Levis over Anthony Richardson in terms of traits is because Will Levis has a little more production, not much, but enough where I still trust Levis more than I would Anthony Richardson.
XFL starting, by the way.
Oh,
Well.
Now we definitely know The Rock's not going to be at WrestleMania now. I mean, at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game just started.
There's also the Ohio State quarterback thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like there's always that idea, that little inkling in the back of your mind where it's just like, all right, are you really this good? Right. Or is it everything else around you?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
There's always going to be that question with people coming out of Ohio State. And for what it's worth, Alabama and just about any of the rest of these top schools, too.
I guess it falls on me. I have Seattle at 5. Now, just before I make this pick, personally, I think this is a trade back. I don't think they take, and it depends on really how far back, but I don't think they take anybody here just because I don't think there's anyone that justifies a 5. That is more of a sure thing. Like with the way Seattle is drafted, they took their whole last class was off traits. Their whole last class was on potential. I think if anything, they should look for more of a sure thing here. And just based on what Benny said earlier, he's probably gonna be mad at me about this pick. But I'm actually gonna take Tyree Wilson here at 5.
Which I've been hearing.
Which is what I hear more than, and I'm hearing a lot more negative about Myles Murphy recently. So I'm thinking as teams are starting to do their research, Myles Murphy may be a candidate to drop a smidget. And I think Seattle bets so much on traits and high-end traits. And just based on their draft history, like they've kept swinging at edges that just haven't hit. But boy, do they have traits.
I mean, shoot, look at like LJ Collier and stuff like that.
That's
we
main
took
guy
him
that
like
to mind for me.
But I feel like that's been Seattle for the longest. Even not even just edge rushers, because even like Rashad Penny, and they've been taking people left and right.
Like Tariq Woolen is another, it's just Woolen hit.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
true.
Penny was close to hitting if not for the injury last year. So I'm just going based on like what I see from Seattle.
True. All right. And you said Tyree Wilson?
Yes.
All right. So Benji, you're on the clock.
All right. So with number 6 and Detroit, right off of the bat, 2 things are going to jump out to me regardless. One of them, and I said the exact same thing about Arizona, I cannot deal with their quarterback, right? But again, they're not in a position to do so, right? And I see that there is a bigger need with Detroit than quarterback right now, and that is literally overall defense. If Detroit had any type of a defense that gave up less than 400 points per game like they did last year, you're talking about an entirely different NFC North. And just because I like chaos, I'm going to go with Myles Murphy and put him on the exact same defensive line with Aiden Hutchinson. And I want to see quarterbacks get absolutely terrorized by that defense.
You say are the Giants playing them this year coming up?
I have no idea.
Well, I don't want to see that those two are going to be on the same field.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: we played them last year, and I forgot who the guy on the other side was. I think it was like L, something with an L. It was a guy they got in the late rounds that he played like 5 games and had like 10 sacks, playing opposite Aiden Hutchinson. That is my biggest,
They had that D tackle that was tearing it up too. Maybe you're thinking about him.
No, he was an edge. He was coming off the edge. I remember he was coming off the edge.
They had some dude who was like a D tackle and hybrid kind of thing, and he was moving all around the line, just tearing it up.
They might be the same guy. It might be the same guy.
Probably that guy.
Here's my thing. That's why I'm like, they don't. I get what you're saying, but I think personally, there's just a much, much, much bigger need in that secondary.
I know. I was thinking that too.
Help.
I was thinking that too. I was like, my other the 2 reasons why I went there is you can get away with having a less than par secondary when you have an amazing pass rush. The other thing is the fact that since the New York Giants are going to be signing a Carrican away from them out of their second level, they're going to need something something to bolster the front seven a little bit. So I decided to go with Murphy because I was also looking at Christian Gonzalez right there.
I mean, I get it. I just personally would have went corner there for them just because it solidifies that secondary and it allows you to have like a 2-headed monster grow, and then you can build the defense out from that. Because again, to me, you already have the 2 bookend edge rushers. Then you would have your 2 bookend corners, and you can build out the rest of the defense from there. But I also understand, like, you get talent where there's talent. So taking Myles Murphy makes sense.
All right, Joe, back on you.
All right. Well, back
you
on
know who you picked here, right?
I'll get him in the later rounds. What? I mean, I'm staring here, and I'm on the Raiders, and assuming that they don't really have a quarterback, and I don't think they're going to go Jarrett Stidham in there as their next quarterback. I mean, do I pass up on Anthony Richardson here? Like, do I really? I mean, they need a QB. I mean, they haven't gone anybody. I'm not gonna assume anybody's going there for free agency. I'm not gonna say, Aaron Rodgers is going to the Raiders. I'm not gonna say that. Can't say that. So you need a QB here. It's tough because you need. I know the Raiders' defense wasn't great. Like Patrick Graham didn't have that great of a season. Now their ends, you have Max Crosby. Their D line did decent. I know they're losing like Cleveland Farrell and a couple other people.
That offensive line is terrible too.
I know that O line is not great either. Like, but who's gonna throw the ball? Like, who's gonna throw the ball for you?
I mean, again, Stidham when Stidham was in, he was cooking last season though.
And I love Jerison because I like Auburn. Like I like Auburn too. Like so, I get it. And I've been even when Stidham was on the Patriots, y'all know I was banging the table for Stidham to play over like Brian Hoyer and everybody else.
But still, you got to think about it this way. Like, look at that class coming out next year, though. Look at that class coming out next year. Like,
yeah.
Again, can you bet on a guy that may be ready in 3 years, or are you gonna, wait a year, build out what you need, and go out and get you an absolute bona fide stud next year?
Very true.
So what? You suck. Big deal. If Devontae Adams has a problem, trade him for picks. Trade fucking Hunter Renfrow for picks and just load the fuck up next year.
Just I'm saying there's also a certain Tennessee quarterback that could.
Oh, shut up. All right. Shut up. All right. I won't cause too much chaos. I'm going to take Paris Johnson Jr. How about that?
Okay.
I'll build the old lineup. I'll take Paris Johnson. Jay talked me out of it.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense to choose for them right now. It doesn't make sense to dive into that element of chaos. Like, it's avoidable because I'm looking
chaos out. Too much chaos. I get it. I don't want to set the world on fire yet.
Not for them. Not for them. There are others, but not for them.
All right.
So I kind of look at Atlanta and you
I
know,
mean, I
you
know where
kind of
I'm
have to
going here.
kind of like, I feel like they still need everything. Like they have the offensive skill positions relatively, they lost Calvin Ridley, but this is
I'm
not a
going the
situation
Jags.
where, yeah,
Going
like
the Jags.
I'm not gonna go fix that at 7. Like that's dumb.
No.
Their defense was sus as fuck.
I mean, it's similar to what you said with me though. Like the only thing is they have somebody who they believe is their
Yeah,
quarterback,
no, that's what
and
I'm saying.
Desmond Ritter.
They have a Desmond Ritter where he's young enough where you can still rock with him, see what you got, type situation. So like this one is tough. This one is really tough because there's a safe pick here where I'm like, you get this guy, you plug him in, ready to go.
Skoronski's standing there.
That's why I'm thinking Skoronski, or I'm thinking like Joey
Uh,
Porter. Like, I don't think there's a bad pick, but then there's also the like, what if they get their next coming to Mike Vick, and you can build the rest of the team out, and you can wait on him to be ready, and you can flip
oh my
Desmond Ritter for more
goodness!
picks later on.
So you snake Anthony Richardson for me. So you can take it. Unbelievable.
Because
This
I'm
guy
looking
snake.
at from the situation, because again, even Anthony Richardson does not have to play this year. He doesn't have to play for 2 years, which is
So why
exactly the
can't
type
you?
of situation that you want Anthony Richardson in. You
So
want
what's the
him
difference between Ritter? What's the difference between Ritter and Jared Stidham? They're almost the same age anyway. Ritter's old.
because again, I've seen Jarrett Stidham cook. I haven't seen Ritter cook.
Okay.
And again, at the end of the day, like, it leaves Atlanta with 2 huge trade chips to really improve their defense. So I think it at least warrants consideration here. It at least warrants consideration. That being said, I'm going to go with Atlanta fans are going to hate me for this. I'm going to go with Christian Gonzalez because, like, I feel like they need some more secondary help. Actually, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that to them. That's fucked up.
I wish Atlanta would do that on draft night. Wait, let me get that card back. Wait.
I'm gonna go with Peter Skoronski here, just because, like,
Okay,
you continue to build that O line. They have a really good running attack. You solidify. Worst case scenario, you have a right tackle, like you have an Elijah Vera Tucker situation where the guy can play everywhere, and he was recruited as a center, so he can legitimately play all 5 positions.
Oh yeah, everybody's saying that he's going to translate to a guard anyway, next level. They say he could be an all-pro guard level kind of player anyway. So
right,
it makes sense.
You get that guy, you solidify, and then again, you kick the can down the road. See what you got with Desmond Ritter. You still have a phenomenal running game. So
I mean,
that's how
Algier
you continue to build it.
Patterson lit it up. So
yeah, so you continue to build it. But I'm saying there is a level of chaos that they could just be like,
yeah. Bidgie, where you on?
You said Skoronski, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bidgie's on the board with pick 9. I mean, we left 2 quarterbacks sitting there for you.
Like, I know, and that's where I'm going. The problem is,
okay, but who?
Yeah, the problem is who. Now, being a Florida State fan, people might look at this and be like, you know what? You're capping because that's your rival. But Anthony Richardson scares me. He scares me because of the fact that legitimately against us in the exact same game, dude threw his first like 4 or 5 passes for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then he went like 0 for 17 right after that. So I'm thinking about, and it wasn't all our defense. So it's just like, if you can be that streaky, whereas you are on 2 completely different streaks in the exact same game, I'm really worried about you. The other thing is I don't really know enough about Will Levis, especially considering the fact that you got these massive sways in his his basic profile when it comes to people, during the draft time or whatever. Part of this being, normal draft period shenanigans when it comes to people's views. But then how much of these are actual smoke screens versus how much of these are actual truths? We'll find out at the combine. We'll find out at the pro days and all this stuff going forward. I am going to go with, just because of the fact that I've seen so many of these anti-Daniel Jones Giants fans being like, we want Anthony Richardson. I want him off the board right now. So we're going Anthony Richardson to go to Carolina. So restart that franchise and get them going in the right direction.
Well, too, I also can say that this would probably be a good spot because they have a chance where they can bring back Sam Darnold on a cheaper contract and let Sam Darnold play for 2 years and be like, hey, you still need to like up your stock. We like you. Frank Reich and that staff is chef's kiss. That staff is amazing. And I think if you're going to put a young quarterback and surround him with experience and teachers, that's how you do it. And he can give them that Cam Newton 2.0 where even if he's not 100% ready, when you throw him out there, you can scheme him up to be a Lamar Jackson style running quarterback until his mental processing and his arm, his accuracy, and those issues get fixed. He can still survive and he can win you games. So I think that's actually a fantastic pick. And I think that's the kind of pick where with this franchise, they can flip in a year because Carolina's too talented to be as bad as they were. They're far too talented to be this high. And I think bringing in that veteran coaching staff and then giving fans like, hey, this is the next guy, but wait, let us do this right, is the right approach for what they want to do there.
Hey, Joe, you see Vaughn talking shit, right?
Oh.
So Vaughn talking
I
shit.
saw that.
He said cooking sardines.
I saw. I chose not to respond to that. So you were Anthony Richardson?
Yeah. Anthony Richardson to Carolina and on.
Oh God, can I trade this pick?
No.
Jesus. All right. I'm on the board at 10 with the Eagles. See, the Eagles are interesting because, and I think I sent this to you, Benji. I sent it to you like maybe a week ago or something like that. At this point,
Yeah, their free agents are.
Yeah, like they're losing a good 20, 25 different people, like from C. Gardner Johnson to Sue to Linval, TJ Edwards.
But they have incredible depth, and they definitely have that next man up.
Well, that was their depth, is the thing. Like that was a lot of their depth because you still had like Brandon Ingram, and there was a lot of people. There was a good 20 to 23 free agents for the Eagles, and I think a lot of them were like key players to that championship run. Well, Super Bowl run. But sitting on the board, and I'm thinking of two people at the moment. Well, I'm not gonna say two. I'm thinking two positions. I'm thinking corner.
Yeah, I'm looking at one right now.
I'm thinking corner, and I'm also thinking the only person I'm thinking of Brian Bresee. And the only reason I'm thinking him is because you lost a couple people on your interior, and tagging him next to what's his name, Jordan Davis, would kind of be disgusting.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I'm thinking. Now, I'm thinking of that, but I think I'm going to go Christian Gonzalez here.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do that instead. I'm going to tie them up on the back. I know C. Gardner Johnson's another one to free agent. Darius Slay's not getting any younger. And
Bradbury too.
Bradbury's he's a free agent too. And that guy's already like expressed interest in coming back to the Giants. I think that's going to happen, but still, like when I look at it, I'm like, you compare Gonzalez with Slay and have him kind of learn from Slay. I think that'd be a good look. I think Gonzalez is a bigger guy. Yeah, Gonzalez is 6'2", 201. It's a bigger corner too. So I want to go Christian Gonzalez to the Eagles at pick 10. And Jay, you're on the board with the Titans at pick 11. And look who's on the
this is gonna
board
hurt
sitting
me
right
as a
there
Jet.
for you.
Hmm?
And look who's on the board sitting right there for you.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
As a Jets fan, this is gonna hurt me, but the Titans' offensive line was really, really banged up. They didn't have a lot of depth there. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm going to give them Broderick Jones out of Georgia just to solidify that line. And I think what's-his-face, Taylor Lewan is also a free agent.
He is. He's expecting not to be back either, he said.
Yeah, so that's a plug-and-play at your right tackle spot.
I like that pick. You think they're going to – what do you think the Titans are going to do? Guys, people watching, I'm asking you too, what do you think the Titans are going to do at pick 11? Because, like I said, they're losing Tannehill. Are they going to rock with Malik Willis for a whole season?
Yeah.
Think so?
I think they will. Yeah, I think that's they're just going to lean into the full youth movement, and they're going to be a team that's going to look at what do we have at Malik Willis? Did we take him too soon type things? Because at the end of the day, they can get out of Malik Willis because he was a third-round pick. The talent potential is there, but you don't need to hit your wagon to him because he's a third-round pick. And if they're terrible and he looks terrible, they're in prime position to get a quarterback next year. So no harm, no foul.
True.
No harm, no foul. And towards the middle of the season, you can trade all your veterans if that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't lose anything.
Benji, you're on the clock.
All right. On the clock with the Houston Texans for the second pick in the first round. It seems like they always have 2 picks in the first round for some reason. But considering where Jay went with their first pick at number 2, I don't think you can actually go wrong, and I really hate myself for doing this because, like I said, I am hoping he falls to 25. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm hoping he falls to 25. Give that man a weapon right from the start. We're going, well, let him leave the state. Quentin Johnston.
Oh, my God.
Give Bryce Young a big target right off the bat.
Why not?
Well, here's my thing. Here's my issue with that. And I actually, when I look at Quentin Johnston, there's always going to be the what if he was at Alabama, what if he was at a bigger school, would he be more productive? Mm-hmm. My biggest issue with Quentin Johnston is during that championship game and when I watched him in the playoffs, the man can't separate. He can't.
Yeah, that's a big issue with him.
He doesn't have the athleticism to separate. He doesn't have the athleticism to really get open and really take over a game. And Houston needs a number 1 guy. I don't know if Quentin Johnston is a number 1 guy. And even with Bryce Young, I don't know if Quentin Johnston can be he scares me in the way that we got hype, or as Jets fans got hype about Denzel Mims. That's how he scares me. Because you look at the size, you look at the athleticism, you look at what he did overall, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's the number 1 guy. But you look at what he did against competition, and he was a ghost. So I agree with the position pick. I'm skeptical of the player pick. That's all I'm gonna say.
This for me is legitimately just my wide receiver body type bias more so than anything else. Yeah. Because compared to the other receiver that I was looking at being Jordan Addison is 6'1", 175.
Yeah.
Right. Quentin Johnston is 6'4", 220.
Yeah.
So that to me, I've always been a massive fan of your Megatron type, receivers, your Anquan Boldens, who are just they're able, they're bigger, faster, stronger. Exactly. So, like I said, there's always going to be a part of me who thinks in the back of my mind, that 6'1", 175 guy can turn into Odell Beckham Jr. But then at the same time, I'm like, you know what? A younger quarterback may not necessarily have the pinpoint to always put the ball onto a receiver that's 6'1", 175. Give him a guy that he can put the ball in an area more so than that. Like I said, From what I
Okay.
understand, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, Quentin Johnson, they say when he high points the ball in his chest more so than actually, hand catching the ball. So that's something that he's going to have to work on. But at the NFL level with NFL coaches, if you guys aren't able to get that through his head, why are you a coach?
Yeah.
So, all right, Joe, it's on you with a team that is not yours.
Yeah, I already know you're going to break my heart here because you're definitely not going to go where I think you're going to go or where I would like you to go.
All right, on the clock for the New York Jets. Let's see. I'm not giving you a quarterback, so don't worry. I'm not giving you Will Levis.
Thank you.
I'm not giving you Will Levis. I'm not doing that to you. Don't worry about it.
Fucking idiots. Fucking stupid people.
I'm not giving you a quarterback. Don't worry.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm looking at something on here, and I'm like, if we go in that direction.
There's one that I'm like, it's a luxury pick. There's three ways I'm looking at this. There's the luxury pick, there's the safe pick, and then there's the fuck it, let's move back and kick the can down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious where you go with this, Joe.
Well, see, my issue is if we hadn't taken Paris Johnson or Skoronski, I would have given you O-line.
Right.
That's my biggest thing.
Yeah. That's why I said it broke my heart to take Broderick at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And Broderick's gone too. I would have given you one of the three linemen.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not giving you a quarterback. I don't even want to give you a receiver.
It doesn't make sense. Like I said, that's the luxury pick. That's the luxury idea.
I don't want to do that. The only two things I'm really looking at for you guys, I'm looking at three things. And we have the same board, so you're going to see the same people. Mm-hmm. I'm literally only looking at corner, linebacker, or Brian Bresee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the point in corner, unless it's the corner I'm thinking of.
The only things I'm looking at. Who are you looking at? What corner are you looking at?
Brian Branch.
So safety is what you're looking at.
Yes. But he's one of those like hybrid corner safety, like really, really smart defensive player, like hyper intelligent guys. The reason why I don't say corner is I get fuck is his name? Number 4. I keep seeing him throw up the 4, and I don't
like DJ Reed.
DJ Reed. I get the size thing. I get it. I understand it. But I don't think we need a corner. I think it's a waste of a pick for us to go and get another corner. I swear to God, honest to God, it doesn't make any sense to me. I love Michael Carter in slot. There's nothing wrong there. Like, their three-headed monster is fine. They can go and get a corner in fucking the 3rd round if you want to add depth. There's no reason to go and get it in the 1st.
See, if you were further down the line, I'd have given you Osiris Torrance.
Right.
But I don't want to give you.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, it does. The logic doesn't make sense.
I don't want to give you that. Yeah. So the only other thing, if we're talking that way, because if you're talking about, you said Brian Branch, but like you just said he's a corner safety hybrid, but you don't want a corner. So I'm like, the only other thing I really could give you right now, I can give you Trent Simpson. If you want to pair him, I
don't think. Here's my thing. As much as like as a fan, you're like, we need a linebacker. I also understand the lineage and the mindset that Joe Douglas comes from. He's not taking a linebacker in the 1st round. That's not happening. We're not at that place in our defense or in our team building at all to take a linebacker in the 1st round. So I don't put that even in my mind because it doesn't make sense. Which is why Brian Branch or a trade back are the only two things that make sense to me. Because, or you take the luxury pick and you go with a speed guy. You go with the speed guy, or you go, because I don't understand getting another possession guy when our issue is with the offense that we were running. Everyone knew there was no way we were going deep because we don't have a deep guy. Our deep guy is our best receiver, which, okay, cool. Garrett Wilson's great at just about everything, but he's not the kind of burner where I'm looking at it like, nah. You know what I'm saying? So the luxury pick for me is like, if you just want to like scissor fuck the hell out of defenses, you go Jackson Smith and Jigba, right? If you want like a speed demon type, because I think this is too high for Jalen Hyatt personally, I would go with Jordan Addison.
Yeah, we're gonna see. It really depends on what he does in his 40 combos. You know
Yeah,
how
that's
that
what I'm saying. Like Jordan Addison is the physical build of the guy, but I don't know what his speed is.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Hyatt because they're talking about him running 4.2.
Well, again, that's why I think teams will reach on a Jalen Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hearing is Jalen Hyatt's hands aren't great. So if I'm gonna go for a speed guy, I'm gonna go with a guy that I've seen, and that's like later rounds is the kid out of Cincinnati. I forgot what the fuck his name is right now, but the receiver out of Cincinnati is a fucking speed demon, the lights of which I have not seen. Like he's Jalen Waddle fast, and I don't remember what the fuck his name is right now. So again, you pick whoever you want to pick, but I think the only other like you either can go safety or you can go, and I hate it because there's nobody there that I really like at that position. You can go D tackle.
Jay, you talking Tyler Scott?
Yes, Tyler Scott.
Okay. What do you guys run? A 4-3, 3-4 hybrid kind of thing?
It's more of like a 4-3 hybrid situation where it's more of like a 4-2 like 5-6-7. If I'm really gonna be honest with you, like it's more so just we have two linebackers and nickels, and then you got the three corners, and you got that whole situation, which is why I say Brian Branch is if all the tackles are gone, Brian Branch just makes the absolute most sense to me because he can play either safety position, or you can play him in a nickel package with Michael Carter, where you have two nickel corners, you have the two guys on the outside, and maybe you have one safety. You get what I'm saying? That's why I say Brian Branch just from a fit standpoint, it just makes sense if you can't improve the O-line. Or you trade back and try to get Osiris Torrance. Like that's the only other thing that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't see anything else up here. Like I really don't see anything else up here for the Jets.
There's nothing there. Like you look at
no other guard. Like
no.
Torrance is at 30 on this list, and we're at pick 12. Then you have like DeJuan Jones, and you don't want to reach on something.
Torrance is really based on like what does his body look like at the combine? What does his body look like during the pro day? He's a body guy. Like, yeah, do we need another mole on the inside? But then it's like then you have to live with Elijah Vera Tucker at tackle, which is cool. He was great at tackle, but is he going to be an all-pro at tackle? That's the question. And who's going to be the guy on the other side? You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can't. If we could get rid of Lincoln for how bad he played last year and move Vera Tucker back over to the left guard, then I think Torrance makes sense. But we can't get rid of Lincoln.
Too many. There's not a lot of tackles in this draft, but there are a lot of guards. I mean, like I know Benji personally has to go back and look at Avila again because he loved that guy, and then he got destroyed.
Yo, this guy got mauled by Georgia.
But again, people are still seeing Avila as
there's no center here. Like I would take a center, but there's no center here that I can take in the first round pick. That's why I'm saying Brian Branch is the only pick to me. If all the tackles are gone and you're not going to trade back, Brian Branch is the only pick that is not only a good pick, not only has a high floor in terms of a pick, but it fits a need. It shores up a lot of the deficiencies in the back end of your defense, and it helps the linebackers significantly. So you cover a lot of ground with a guy like this because he's a chess piece. He's so smart. He's a chess piece, and he immediately becomes I don't want to say a leader, but he comes from a pedigree where he earns an instant level of respect on that defense. So that's my pitch. That's why I'm looking at the board. I'm like, that's my pitch. You pick anybody else, and it's just like, all right, but it's not going to make sense. Like, or it's going to be Reeds. Like, it's not going to be like the only other guy I can look at And I'm just like, this is an embarrassment of riches and doesn't make sense, but fuck it. If we're gonna do this and we're gonna suck, like if our defense is gonna get killed for a quarterback, I'm just gonna load up on as many weapons as possible and go with Bijan Robinson. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, fuck it. He's gonna be my slot receiver. I'm gonna throw Breece Hall out there. We're just gonna fucking run rough shot, and I'm just gonna run double running backs all fucking day. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm wilding at that point. Like, that's the only other guy where I'm like,
I'm not giving you Bijan. I'm really down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, fuck it, let's go. And
I'm really
keeps
down
Buffalo from getting him. That's how I look at it. It keeps Buffalo from getting him.
Straight
so
fight pick.
Do that.
The only thing I'm looking at, like, I'll give you Brian Branch. The only other thing I'm looking at is Brian Brzee. It's the only one I'm looking at.
My thing with Brzee is, yeah, he went through it. Like, he has the tools, but I'm afraid that he kind of just plays the same position as Quentin. And for a lot of people, it's like, oh, then you're not going to play Quentin. And it's like, no, we're paying Quentin. Like,
yeah,
we need a space eater, and I don't see Brzee as a space eater. I just see him as another guy that's there.
I mean, dude is 6'5". Like,
no,
I think
I get it, but he's not like, we need like a twitched up 320 fat man that's a monster on the inside that can just let Quentin go off because he's taking on 2 and 3. Like, we need we basically need Jordan Davis. Like, that's the type of DT I see. I'm like, my dream Jordan Davis, but that doesn't exist. And even if they went Brzee, I wouldn't be upset. I would just question, like, okay, are we gonna get the guy who has all the potential in the world, or are we gonna get the guy who never lives up to the potential because of all the personal stuff that he went through? And I don't know if you know his personal story, but
yeah,
he went through a lot personally. So maybe he does just, now that everything's past him, maybe he does come back and be like that all elite D tackle next to Quentin, and that's great. That's fantastic because we're losing both guys this year anyway. That's cool. But it still, it fixes one issue, but it also creates another, because I'm like, then what if he doesn't hit and he's just a poor Quentin Williams? Then we still have the same issues we had last year, and it doesn't really do anything. And it feels like it's just a waste of a pick. That's why Branch, to me, just makes way more sense, because it's not the best case scenario, but it fixes what we needed to fix, and it builds on the fact that we have a young secondary going forward.
All right. Well, I will give you your pick. I will give you Brian Branch.
Appreciate you.
I will give you Brian Branch.
I didn't think I'd fight for Brian Branch that hard, but when I see the way the ball was falling, I'm like, all right, we need to get a fucking safety. Like, this is all we got left.
I will give you Brian Branch. Is that what I would have taken? But I will give you Brian Branch.
Who would you have taken?
Let's see.
Who would you have taken?
Like I said, I was literally just looking between Brzee, Joey Porter, Devin Witherspoon, or Trenton Simpson. Outside chance of Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah,
just in case you might have got rid of Denzel Mims, or if the Elijah Moore thing happened, you traded him, then
we're getting rid of Corey Davis. We're probably going to trade
him. There you go. That's what I was thinking too. You'd have Garrett and Jigba.
The biggest thing with me is it was the same issue I had when we took Garrett and Elijah. I'm happy we got Garrett. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But the size profile does not give us different dimensions. And we need to diversify in terms of size and skill set in this offense. So I need, unless fucking, what's his face? Fucking Quentin Johnston is there. That's a guy who's like, okay.
Dude.
Yeah, like okay, cool. I can live with that. But it just, I don't want another guy that's 6'1". That's 6. Like, we don't need a bunch of average ass looking receivers. Like, yeah, they gonna slice you up, but you put a big ass corner on them, like, fuck, that's gonna do.
I was only thinking
definitely don't know who the fuck the quarterback is. So God forbid we gotta go with Zach again. he still has
Like,
his
you got.
accuracy issues. We need somebody with some fucking wingspan, you know? Like,
I was
shit.
like, I was really thinking. I was like, if you at least if your offense, your quarterback's gonna be a question. I was like, shoot, if you get a big size corner and pair him up with another, and you have a Sauce Gardner and give you another big corner to pair up with him, then like, where are you going with the ball? Because people are
That's
already
why when I was sitting up there and you guys were initially talking, I'm looking at somebody in particular. I was talking about Joey Porter. You
That's
see
what
what
I
I'm
was
saying? You
thinking
put him
too. I
aside
was like, a
from it.
corner with
You throw him
size.
right over there on the other side. Like, who is throwing the ball on y'all at
Yeah,
that
like
point?
I get that, but
2, 6, 3
at the end of the
quarters.
day, who threw the ball on us this year?
That I don't know because I really wasn't paying attention.
Nobody. Like, again, the only reason why we guys even got scored on was because the safeties were ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the guys who got scored on were the safeties. It wasn't Sauce and it wasn't DJ. It was the safeties. I think DJ maybe gave up 2 touchdowns all season. Sauce didn't give up any. The safeties were giving up fucking touchdowns galore. So, like, that's why I'm looking at it like, yeah, no, I'm not worried about my corners. Like, DJ and Sauce are going to be fine. Like, fuck all that. Give me a safety. Give me another. Like, I need that other guy in the middle.
All right, Jay. So now it's time for you to pull Will Levis off of the board, right?
Oh Lord.
No. It's time for me to give Mac Jones a legitimate fucking weapon.
Oh,
Here's
God,
my
don't
thing.
do it. Don't do it.
I think there are 2 ways I can go here. My biggest thing with Belichick is even when he has receivers, he doesn't use them. It doesn't seem like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the thing is, they're losing their main guy. That's my biggest thing. They're losing their main guy, but their main guy is an outside guy. And I think that the utility of a lot of these receivers, you don't group them by talent per se. You group them by like, what are their pluses? And I don't think that there's a lot of separation in terms of pluses. So I don't even think you need to go receiver here, because you can get another guy on day 2 that can do essentially what these guys here can do, but will be cheaper for you. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm not going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Okay. You can't go tight end here.
Why can't I?
Because they already got Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, and they got another tight end too. They have like 3 tight ends over there.
None of them are as good as this guy.
Lord. Oh Lord.
You going there?
I'm going to give what's his face is Gronk. And I'm going to go with Michael Mayer. I'm going to give them his Gronk. Because, again, the Patriots are deadly when they have tight ends, not receivers. The last time they were deadly with receivers, it was fucking Randy Moss. Like,
I don't like you.
Yeah, listen.
Listen, I got to play them twice a year. Not like you got to play them.
I'm going to tell you right now, we actually do have to play them.
Wow, you guys got to play them for 1 year. I got to play them every year. Like, the fuck?
But that's actually kind of sort of where I was going to go if he was still on the board around 27, because I have Buffalo's pick.
Yeah.
That's where I was looking. But anyway, I am on the board right now with Green Bay, and I really did not even take a look and see what they need. Oddly enough, they need a quarterback.
Here's a thought. Here's a thought. Get Jordan Love what you didn't get for Aaron Rodgers.
Watch Aaron Rodgers can turn around and shoot somebody.
You said Michael
that
Mayer.
man's gonna come through there just fly kicking everyone when he comes out of his dark room retreat.
I'm saying.
So I'm sitting up here and I'm looking at it, and just going by, like, I don't necessarily like. I know Addison comes from Pitt and then goes out to USC. But in this case, I think I'm actually going to go Smith-Njigba.
Thank you.
And put him
exactly what
in Green Bay. Pair him up with
Christian
Watson, and give whoever is the quarterback out there.
And Romeo Dobbs. That is
whoever is the quarterback out there, an amazing set of skill position players.
Yep.
That they can just ball out with right from the start.
Yep.
So here we go, Joe, with another rival pick.
You always do this to yourself. You realize that, right? You
literally me last year. I literally had all of them.
Let's see. We went Green Bay 15, Jackson Smith and Jigba. All right, now I'm on the
No love.
board.
You forgot the G
No,
in his name, by the way.
in Jibba. You know. All right, here we go. On the board with the Commanders. Trying to think. Besides, I mean, I'm trying to think of their needs off the top of my head. I know there's some O-line needs. I know they're looking at some edge rushers.
According to PFN,
Uh-huh.
this
Yeah.
isn't me. This is PFN.
Uh-huh.
Quarterback, cornerback, safety, linebacker, edge.
Yeah, I know because they're debating about what their future is with Chase Young because Chase Young's been hurt. I
Mhm.
know there's the whole thing with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, and I know they're looking into they're looking into extending Deron Payne. I know they just went Jamin Davis last year at linebacker.
Mhm.
So
And they
you're
got
gonna
3
hate me.
receivers out there, so they don't need any of them either.
Yeah, you're gonna hate me, but I'm getting the Joey Porter Jr. I'm just
Yeah,
giving
I
him
was
the
just
corner.
thinking, like, bro, come on. It's not.
Yeah, big physical corner, 6'2", 196.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving him Joey Porter Jr.
I'm
Help the
telling you right
secondary out.
now, I was not expecting him to be there anyway for us, just because of the fact that I think if he's on the board at 17, he does not make it past Pittsburgh just for family's sake.
Yep.
I think they take
Yeah.
him regardless.
Of course. It's all just going to be to me with Commanders what corner they take. That's the main thing I'm seeing. And so I mean, like you said, if the Commanders pass on him and they take like who's it, Witherspoon or Cam Smith, which I can see them taking Cam Smith, then I can see, like you said, the Steelers are not going to let Joey Porter go past him for no reason.
Yep.
All right, and you're on the board with the Steelers.
I know the one thing that just screams out to me because I didn't watch a lot of Steelers games, and I know Brett is gonna watch this later, and he's really not gonna like me.
Probably not.
I can't tell you off the rip like what exactly their needs are.
Looking at it right now,
which is why I'm looking.
Yeah.
Why the fuck can't I find these people? Okay. So, okay. It says their needs are offensive line, essentially, and edge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, sure, you could reach for an edge here. I like Isaiah Foskey. I like Lucas Van Ness because I've heard a lot of really good things about them. But I think the Steelers are the Steelers when they can run the ball, where they can get physical, they can get big on the line. So this one may be a little bit of a reach, but it's more so a need over everything else. I'm going to give them Osiris Torrance.
Yeah. Oh.
They need to get younger. They need to get younger on that offensive line. They need to get nastier. They need to get bigger. They need to get more physical. So
yeah,
I think with him, because he can jump between playing offensive tackle in a pinch, he can be your mauler at a guard. You can mold him to what you want to, and you need to protect Kenny Pickett. Honestly,
Najee Harris will like
Pickett.
Najee Harris would love it.
Yeah, and you get Najee Harris back to being Najee, because again, when Najee was playing like Najee, they almost make the playoffs. So you continue to push that forward.
I'm just letting Will Levis fall to the Giants, and I hope you're on the clock, PJ.
No, you're on the clock for the Giants. I have every 3 picks.
Damn it.
Which means I have 24.
Oh yes.
So anyway,
let Will Levis fall.
This guy.
Offered
Daniel Jones 1 year at $8 million. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, we're right here.
Daniel Jones Walker picking up
Dude.
Will Levis.
So I am back on the clock with the exact same team that I had at 6, right now at 18 in the Detroit Lions. And Jay, I am going to take your advice. As much as I hate to take this guy off of the board because he's another guy that I'm hoping falls down to 25, I'm going with Devin Witherspoon.
Makes sense. To me, from what I hear, he's the best corner in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. And for you to do that and to show up their defense and to really give them an identity, like it's full speed ahead for the Lions to me.
Jeez,
Real quick
right.
though, on something that is not my pick, just going back to the Steelers for a hot second, just going on the idea of what the Dolphins did for Tua. Do you think that Pittsburgh, even though it isn't a necessary need based on what PFN is saying, do you think they would go with a Jordan Addison?
Yeah, I can see it.
That
Just
big connection.
the only thing I don't like about it is that you already have Deontay Johnson, who's already a smaller receiver. So to add just like another small receiver after you already got rid of Claypool, like doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But it's more so BPA than anything else at that point.
I'm just saying, going on like the familiarity part, just because of the fact that you got. Well, you could technically say the Eagles did the same thing when they got Devontae Smith because of the Jalen Hurts connection. But you know, he was catching passes from both of them.
Right.
But Miami's on the clock at 6 a couple of years ago, and the first thing that popped in my head was like, they're not letting Waddle go. They're going to give Tua his guy from back when he was at Alabama. So I'm thinking like, if this definite possibility that if Addison is sitting there on the clock on the board when Pittsburgh is on the clock at 17, that he can actually be the pick too.
Yeah, I mean, if Pittsburgh fixes their offensive line to a point where they're comfortable with it during the offseason, and now you're in a situation where it's not necessarily a need, or it's less of a need than it seems to be now, I could 100% see them doing that. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Ooh,
I wish I had this pick. I wish I had this pick.
XFL is looking kind of nice right now. You know, I'm a big Vipers fan.
No.
Guy.
Hey, I said I was going to pick the Vegas Vipers, man. I mean,
True.
It's interesting. I'm over here watching it, and like Martavis Bryant's back in this thing, and he's playing pretty well so far. And the Vipers are beating, I think it's Arlington or Dallas Renegades, I want to say, actually. Yeah, Arlington Renegades. They're 12-3 right now in the first quarter. All right, let's see.
All right, Joe. Don't mess around. You know Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their number one need is quarterback.
I wish I had this pick.
Yes, Tampa Bay Bucks. All right, let's see. Okay, Will Levis is staring me in the face. I understand. Will Levis is staring me in the face. But that being said, their defense was not great last year, and they lost some pieces. Now I'm looking at Brian Bresee. I'm looking at corner because they had Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean is also a free agent. Then there's Trenton Simpson, and I know Avante David is also going to be a free agent. And who is the head coach down there? Todd Bowles? Bowles down there? He's the head coach?
They just got rid of they got rid of Leftwich. So I don't really know who the offense coordinator is in this very moment.
Interesting. I'm thinking about the receiving core. Yeah, aging Julio Jones. They got Godwin. So I don't want to go receiver here. All right. Screw it. I'll give him Will Levis.
There you go.
Thank you.
That wasn't so hard.
Thank you. I'm about to say there's no fucking way they don't take that shot.
I'll take Will Levis. Yo, man, y'all gonna give Kyle Trask a chance? Jeez.
No.
Who?
Well,
Yo,
again, me
it's
giving
like the
Kyle Trask
Raiders.
a
You let him suck for a year to get going, and hopefully you're a top 5 pick, and you might be able to get Caleb Williams the following year.
you might be able to, but then if you do that, then you also have a trade chip in Will Levis, and you can play around in the draft for that.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think you stack up the defense. Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. He loves his defense.
Yeah,
And
but he's also
like I
not an
said,
idiot.
I
He's
was
also not an idiot.
it remains to be said.
Yeah,
But
true.
see, I should say. But
I mean, unless he has a defense full of Nick Boltons, he's gonna need somebody to score some points.
I was close to taking Cam Smith. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was close to taking the corner. Not gonna lie. Let's see. Will Levis off the board with the 19th pick from the Bucks. All right, and that puts us at pick 20, and Jay's on the clock with the Seattle Seahawks.
Again,
Yeah, it's kind of a layup, honestly. You took Tariq Woolen last year. You have that immense size on one side. I think at this point you give Seattle another linchpin on the other side with a really long guy, really good long speed.
I don't know. Don't know about this.
I just don't see how you don't take like a Cam Smith or a Keely Ringo here. Honestly,
only reason I would be hesitant is because they had Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant balled out last year on the other side of Tariq Woolen.
that's fair. That's fair.
Arguably, I know he had 8. Tariq had 8 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, Kobe Bryant had a better all-around season, though.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Like that's why Seattle's kind of tough because I don't feel like they need a lot. I just think that they're really young. I don't think they need a lot. That being said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them their eventual wide receiver 2 replacement. I'm going to take Jordan Addison.
Okay.
a certain
I like that.
cousin of mine, brother of Joe's, will be very pissed off to hear that. But
Again, Brenny, I wish I was making this pick. This is another pick I wish I was making because I just look at it. I'm like, there is a layup pick that is like the perfect player to me to really take Justin Herbert's game to the next level. Like the one thing they don't have on that offense is speed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you take the speed guy. Like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Next game, next. But also, I know they're losing a lot on defense this year, so they do need they need pieces on defense. But I just don't think that you use this pick to get defense. You use this pick to round out your offense and probably use one of your later picks to see if you can get a guy that can step in for what's his face? God damn. Their receiver, their ex.
What are you talking about? What team?
The Chargers.
Oh, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Because I don't think
Keenan Allen talk about getting released anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, but I don't think that there's a guy here that you replace him with. Like
shoot, if Addison, well, if a receiver fell to them, you put that receiver across from Mike Williams with Josh Palmer.
Yeah. No, I'm saying if there was a receiver here, I don't see a guy here that I'm comfortable taking in the first outside of Jalen Hyatt because you're betting on the trump card. You're betting on the trump card, though.
Yeah, I'm not taking Hyatt first round.
I get it, but again, speed covers a multitude of sins.
Speed will hide up a lot of your game. People will see that. Mm-hmm. People have reached for less, so people reach on speed every time. Look at the Raiders.
Yeah.
All right, Benji.
Yep. Anyway, looking at it, like I said, as much as it's going to hurt to do this, because like I said, 4 picks away, I'm going to give the Chargers Cam Smith.
Really?
As corner is one of their top needs, according to PFN. Like, I don't know the Chargers that well, but like I said, I'm looking at their needs based on what I'm seeing and based on everything else that's there and available, the only other player that would be at a position of need would be Trenton Simpson. I'm going to go with the corner in this place, though,
No,
just because
I
of the
get it.
fact that you
I
got
get
two
it.
guys out there that are kind of sort of still like the top of the top, and I've seen a lot of corners in those later rounds just getting snatched up all over the place. So I'm like, you know what? Let's cover this need right now, whereas we can, hop on a linebacker later on down the line.
Right.
So Cam Smith is a pick here.
All right. Now I'm back on the clock with the Baltimore Ravens. Benji, do you have the needs of the Ravens?
Offhand, I am looking, and my eyes are killing me at the moment. All right, I'm looking at wide receiver, cornerback, defensive tackle, linebacker, and guard.
I want to be a real asshole, and I really want to give the Ravens to John Robinson right now, but I'm not. I really want to do that. I honestly wanted to give the Chargers to John Robinson, but I'm not going to do that either. I was interested in giving them Trenton Simpson just because at first, but now I know they have Queen and they have Roquan there, so there's no need for Trenton Simpson, so he kind of is off my board.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm looking at three names. I'm really looking at Foskey, I'm looking at Ringo, and looking at Brian Bresee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at those three. The Ravens
the
are always
biggest question there being the reason why cornerback is up there is Marcus Peters is a free agent, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if he comes back, that knocks corner down the list when it comes to needs.
To a point, but then who's the number two?
Oh well,
because if you have Marcus Peters, I don't think he's 30. If you get Peters back, which I don't think they're going to, it's going to be on a 1-year deal. And you still need a CB2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say, isn't Calais Campbell back there or something like that? I know they have an aging interior D line.
Yeah.
And I know the other corner across. Actually, you know what? As much as I want to go Brian Bresee here, I'm going to go Keely Ringo because they have two corners. They have, and I was talking about this the other day, but they have Peters and the number 2 corner was Kyle Fuller, and they're both free agents.
They're both free agents. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going Keely Ringo. I'm getting them an injection of youth at corner. Is Marlon Humphrey still there? He gone.
No, Marlon Humphreys is still there, but he's just frequently hurt. He was hurt a lot last year.
Right. And Ringo's
so even then you have Marlon Humphreys and then you have Keely Ringo on the other side, which wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Move on.
There you go.
You don't gotta worry about shit no more.
There you go. I was gonna go Bresee for the interior, and I actually was looking at the dark horse of Isaiah Foskey.
Yeah.
Just because they love edge rushers. And I know JPP's a free agent too, and Justin Houston's free agent too. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at that, but I'm gonna go Ringo here.
Mm-hmm.
I know they love their big physical corners. And then you pair him up, and they have Kyle Hamilton back at the safety position, so your secondary is getting a lot younger. So I'm going Keely at 22 for the Ravens. And that leaves Jay on the board with the Vikings. And unfortunately, you can't get either quarterback, so you have to keep Kirk
Cousins. I'm trying to look up the team needs, and it's not letting me go to the Vikings. I
got it. Wide receiver, tight end, cornerback, edge, linebacker.
Because I've heard so many good things about him, I don't think that there are a lot of linebackers in this class that are worth a first round pick, personally. I'm gonna give those guys Kyle Van Ness as like a big edge next to Danielle Hunter or behind Danielle Hunter. And Lucas. I think that shores up that for them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
You said Lucas Van Ness, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's an interesting pick. All right. Lucas Van Ness. Come on, XFL. You're getting sloppy now. Lucas Van Ness to the Jag with Benji is on the clock to pick 24. And Duval, he's going to.
Duval! Or as we trolled him before, Dayball!
Jesus.
So we're sitting up here looking at the Jags. Their team needs, according to PFN, are cornerback, safety, offensive guard, offensive center, and wide receiver. I don't know why they put offensive center like there's a guy on defense that plays
Defensive.
center. I don't get it. But but that's what we're looking at. Unless they're saying they need an offensive coordinator and they think they can draft one. But
Hey,
what we're looking at right now, according to what I'm seeing as far as what's left on the board, it doesn't look like they need a linebacker, so Trenton Simpson's out of there. Your top corner still available at the moment is Clark Phillips. In which like I said, just looking at from what I've read up on Phillips, he has been able to shut down big receivers and everything like that, even though he is, I think, 5'10", like 180 or something like that. So he's able to he plays bigger than what he actually is. The other idea that I have is, since safety is one of their needs, is Antonio Johnson. However, you go by what they say is positional value, and a corner is always going to outvalue a safety. So if corner is my need, corner is where I'm going. So we're going to go with Clark Phillips III out of Utah.
all right.
Fair.
The Jags are going Clark Phillips out of Utah. Benji is throwing me an assist.
I gave you the alley.
All right, and with the Giants on the clock, can I not add any more? I've reached my quota on adding to the ticker. That sounds whatever. With the Giants on the clock, I'm staring at the board, and I'm going Bijan. No, I'm playing. I'm completely joking. There's not a chance. You went who? Clark Phillips, you said?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I kept my own thing updated. Yeah, Clark Phillips. All right. We're here at 25. No, we're not going Bijan. No, I'm not going Brian Bresee. I like Foskey's game, but and I know we talked about this before with Aziz being hurt as much as he is.
Yeah.
Edge is almost becoming a need across from KT, but as much as I like Jalen Hyatt, sorry, I'm not going him. I'm going Trenton Simpson.
Yep.
Really?
I'm giving the Giants their first round linebacker for the first time, and God knows
since Carl Banks.
Well, there you go. First time we dropped the linebacker since Carl Banks in the first round. Great. Well, the Giants are going. I can erase everything here. And I'll add the Giants are going Carl Banks. I'm sorry, Carl Banks. What's wrong with me? The Giants are going Trenton Simpson at pick 25. We get our first linebacker since the 80s. All right. Little, I'm not going to say undersized, but what do you say? He was 6'5", 225. I want you to put on a little more weight, but I want him to be around.
Joe, do you remember when we did the toy drive and we ended up with that exact same situation that we're in right now when the Cowboys are picking and there's a certain running back out there?
I mean,
here's the scenario. What do you do?
You go Brian Bresee. I mean, you do what you think. I just don't see it in general. Like, I get Zeke's aging. Pollard's coming off an injury. I understand it. I understand it from that perspective, but you still have one of the better lines in football. I don't think you're going to take a running back in the first round. It could be a complete luxury pick for you, but
what are their needs? I want to know.
According to PFN, wide receiver, guard, running back, cornerback, linebacker.
I mean, they said running back, but
I mean, there's also the likelihood of us being supremely pissed off because one of those is wide receiver, and I don't want to see one of these things happen.
Well, I mean, the only other one up there, the next one up there is Josh Downs. So,
Him and Hyatt.
oh, yeah, and Hyatt. So, I'm not scared either. I'm not scared of any receiver, honestly. But again, like I can get the Bijan Robinson move. Because again, you can if you get Bijan or if you sit up here. I mean, I'm not gonna say Jameer Gibbs, but if you get a Bijan, you can let Zeke walk. Like just to be honest with you, like, you can let Zeke walk, plug Bijan Robinson in. But the thing, and then what do you do with Tony Pollard? Like, if do you bring him back? What kind of money is he getting? And the guy's coming off of an injury.
Well, to be fair, with him coming off an injury, chances are his market has been hurt. So unless teams are just willing to bet that he's going to be, make a full recovery and come back, 120% of what he was before, and pay him accordingly, like he may not be getting as much money as he initially was going to.
Or you can let Tony walk and bring
Keep
back Zeke on
Zeke
a lesser
and bring,
deal
yeah,
and have him, be that 1A 1B guy with Bijan and teach
mm-hmm.
Bijan. Like, I get it, but I damn sure don't like it. That's just the
Neither do I.
Giants in me.
But this is Jay's picking. He don't give a shit.
Yeah.
The AFC East fan, he don't give a damn about the Cowboys.
Jay's over here sandwiched between the both of us, just debating, just listening. Floor is yours, Jay. Where are you going with this pick?
I'm stuck between two players.
Mm.
Neither of which is sexy. Neither of which is where you would think I'm gonna go. And Dallas can hate me. I personally don't care. I'm gonna give them Brian Brzee because I know that they are losing their starting defensive tackle this year. I'm gonna give them Brian Brzee.
Interesting.
Because I don't think that they're gonna let either one of those guys walk. Jerry Jones loves himself some Zeke, something crazy. I also think they're going to. I think it's like executive tag or whatever fucking tag that is on Tony Pollard, and they're going to try to run it back.
Mm-hmm.
But they definitely did get beat up going up the middle. Outside of what's his face, outside of Michael Parsons, like they played well in the playoffs, but they need another guy in the middle to kind of shore up that defensive line and allow for, what's his face, Diggs to be Diggs. They need for those players that they're gonna obviously re-sign a lot of guys on defense. They're gonna figure out, what they're gonna do, or they're just gonna suck and go heavy on defense next year. But you get the defensive tackle in the first round. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's move on. Right. This is my worst nightmare. This is absolutely my worst nightmare.
Now, here's the thing, Jay. Me and Joe have been having conversations about this a while ago. All right. Now, here's the problem. Right. I'm looking at Robinson. I'm looking at Gibbs. I don't know if he'd go either one of them. Just because of the fact that, as Joe actually informed me, Buffalo's losing one of their starting safeties.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at the two of them on the board and also looking at Antonio Johnson on the board, do you trust your offense enough to put running back on the back burner to solidify your defense, especially when your defense is one of the reasons why you didn't advance in the playoffs?
Do you want to know their free agents real quick before you select?
Go ahead.
Jordan Poyer, starting free safety, Roger Saffold, Case Keenum, Jordan Phillips, Tyler Medikevich, Tremaine Edmonds, Jamison Crowder, David Questenberry, Tywan Jones, Sam Martin, two other guards, Shaq Austin, Dean Marlowe, their other safety, so their free safety and their strong safety, plus DeMar Hamlin's still out. Bobby Hart, AJ Klein, Devin Singletary, the free agent, their number one running back. Tyrell Dodson, Dane Jackson, one of their starting corners, Jawan Johnson, their other safety. So that's 4 safeties they're losing. Poyer, Marlowe, DeMar still out, and Jaquan Johnson are out. That's 4 safeties that they're free agents, and Tommy
Potentially
Tweedy,
losing.
they're
Yeah.
tight end potentially.
So at this point, I think that what's probably going to end up happening is you're going to have Buffalo pushing real hard to grab a running back in free agency, and I'm hoping and praying that he doesn't, come from a different shade of blue from theirs or whatever. But as a matter of fact, I do hope they get a running back from Dallas in a different shade of blue. But I'm going to go ahead and because of the fact that there's so much that they're losing at safety, I'm going to give them Antonio Johnson.
I would breathe the biggest sigh of relief of my life. I would just lay on the floor and praise baby Jesus if this happened.
That would be something to pass up because to me, if you move on from Devin Singletary and you draft Bijan Robinson and you paired Bijan Robinson up with James Cook, oh boy, that just sounds too good. That just sounds too good for me to pass up.
I don't know what the safety market is right now, and I don't know if like you want to sit up here and go that heavy in free agency trying to replace all of these safeties. Like at some, you got to use the draft in some way. So, plus, like I said, you can sit up there and go in the 4th round, unfortunately, and take my guy Kenny McIntosh and replace your running back.
This guy's the biggest Kenny McIntosh fan I've ever met. Not even a Georgia fan. Oh my gosh. I have the Bengals free agency. Let me see what
And
Bengals look like.
and
All right.
ooh.
Almost done here.
Bengals need corner, edge, defensive tackle, offensive guard, and running back. I'm not quite sure why running back is in need. Is there something going on with Mixon, or
I think
like I
that they
know
just
there's
don't.
something
I
legal
don't think
going
that they're
on with
going to be
him?
able to pay him when you look
Uh,
at trying to pay Joe Burrow and trying to play Jamar Chase and
mm,
possibly T. Higgins. I think that's why they say that.
right.
That being said, to me, there's a layup pick because it's a twofold pick. It's a guy that you can start off solving one need and eventually help you solve another.
Mm.
So I'm actually going to go with
Isn't it my turn?
given.
Yeah, it's
Excuse me?
Joe's turn.
Yeah.
It is? Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Division with
I thought it was me. My bad. Okay, my bad. Never mind.
to me this one is interesting.
It is.
It is to me it's kind of interesting, honestly. I'm not going receiver here. Um the two things that I boil down to are, and it's kind of sucks because when I look at their free agents, their main ones are Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Eli Apple. So that's 3 stars at your secondary. Then you got Hayden Hurst, Trey Flowers, another corner, Samaje Perine, your backup running back, Drew Sample, Max Sharping, Trent Taylor. Like you have some, and then Jermaine Pratt, another big linebacker that are missing. But unfortunately, there's no linebackers. There's no real corners up here that really speak of that I'd even consider going right now.
Mm-hmm.
The next corner is Emmanuel Forbes. So I think I'm down to 2 names. 3 would be a dark horse. My dark horse here, which I'm not going to go, will be Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. Dude is
That's where I was
6'7".
going to go.
I could see it. I could see it. The kid is 6'7", 265.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Starts off as your extra O lineman, turns into a pass catcher. Bada bing, bada boom. Thank you, man. Move on.
Yep. I definitely see it. I definitely can see that. I'm looking at Isaiah Foskey just to give them more pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also looking at Anton Harrison. I'm looking at him because the past couple of years we've been saying that the Bengals are dying. Go ahead.
I know you're doing that because of the PFN rankings, but I'm just gonna say, based on every bit of draft news that I've heard right now, plus what happened at the Senior Bowl, if you're gonna go there, DeJuan Jones is the guy. DeJuan Jones is the guy because he might be 4, maybe even creep up to 3 in terms of offensive tackle rating at this point. The dude is a monster and moves like a fucking cheetah. It's actually terrifying to watch. Just saying. I don't know anything about this Anton Harrison person. Doesn't look like that.
Okay, well, regardless, I will take your word for it then. Well, regardless, I'm going to go tackle here. I'm going to give them what?
The one is 6'8", 359.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give him
he's
that
a
right
monster.
tackle.
He's
Lock
a
down
monster.
that right side.
I know he's big. I know
Down the
he's
right
big.
side and just keep
Yeah.
it pushing. Yeah, just and
Like-
Joan is getting his surgery, so he'll be back hopefully top
Like-
tier. You got your left side, you got your right side. I don't
Yes.
gotta get shit.
Shore up your offensive line, man.
And let
Like-
Joe Burrow cook. Just let Joe Burrow.
Yes.
It don't really fucking matter
Yes.
who else is there as long as Jamar Chase is there.
Yo,
Just let everybody
how
fucking
crazy
cook.
was I? How crazy did I look when I gave them Jamar Chase 2 years ago at 4? And
Word.
y'all were like, "Yo, what? Pete, what's his name? Penny Sewell on the board. You don't pass the Penny Sewell." Like, and it happened.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Yeah.
And the
You
reason,
know,
and the reason they
I
lost that
can't
Super
argue the
Bowl,
logic.
and the reason they lost that Super Bowl to the Rams because their O line died at the end. They could not hold up any longer.
And it was on that
Joe
right
Burrow
side. It was on that right side. Put a mountain
Like-
there and be like, "Come fuck with us now.
Yes,
Come get some now."
yes. I'm
So
going to
that's where you're going?
Yep. DeJuan
Man,
Jones.
listen. You know, I wouldn't. Looking at that, man, I wouldn't be adverse to sitting up there like, "Hey, yo, Evan, man, you gotta have to go in the guard."
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
that would be disgusting.
Yeah.
That would be
You're gonna have to move in
disgusting.
there, boy. You have to go
Yo,
in there,
you
boy.
put Evan at guard and DeJuan at tackle. Oh my
Yo.
god.
You gonna have to go in there, my boy.
The whole right side of the offensive line just murdering people.
Just straight up running motherfuckers
Yeah, like
over.
800 pounds on the right side of the line.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Joe, you sure you don't want to take a pay cut? Nigga, you ain't never getting touched. You ain't get touched now. You're not getting touched until like the fucking 20 yards down the field."
Yo, Jesus. 6'8". I knew he was a monster. Like, whew.
And he's nimble as fuck. Like I saw the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. That shit looked to me as crisp as the right tackle that fucking Tampa Bay took that year when
Aaron
you had
Rodgers.
Makai
Four
back.
tackles.
Yeah, when you had the 4 tackles. What the fuck was his name?
You said who took him?
Tampa Bay.
Oh, Tristan Wirfs.
Yes. His footwork looked like Christian Wirfs, but he was as big as fucking Makai back then.
Tristan. Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, like that.
I was at work, so I only caught highlights when I could.
Bro, I was scrolling and I seen that. I was like, "Yo, who the fuck is this dude?" And it was fucking terrifying.
Isn't it crazy that both Ohio State tackles could potentially go first round?
Yeah.
Bro,
Harris
Like-
Johnson,
there's a reason why their quarterbacks always there's a reason why CJ Stroud never had to jump out of the pocket and cook. Like he did not need to. It's just like I got this dude and this dude. I'm not scared. Like y'all not touching me. I don't give a fuck.
what's there to be
So-
scared of at that point?
This one is interesting just because it's like this is a new development, like breaking news. The Saints have a first round pick.
Yeah.
Word.
And considering everything going on with Alvin Kamara, like the entire team needs work. Let's keep it real. The entire team needs work. If you're gonna jump into the first round, you got to get sexy. If you're this team, you got to get sexy.
Don't get that sexy.
I don't see you already have Chris Olave, so you already have that deep threat. Cam Robinson is getting older. I will say that Cam Robinson is getting older.
Cam Jordan, DN.
Cam Jordan, bugging. Cam Jordan is getting older. And the more I just look at the names here, like the The only other guy I can look at and be like, oh, this would be interesting would be BJ Ojulari, right? But I'm not gonna do that. Like, I think the Saints need a jolt of lightning for whomever is going to be under center, and they're in for a long, long rebuild. But they need to get butts in seats, or else they're going to really go back to the Aints. So I'm going to give them Bijan Robinson. And if Alvin Kamara isn't locked up for the next 10 years, that is a thunder and lightning package deal that you really don't need a quarterback for. You just make sure they can get the ball off and move the fuck out of the way.
Sean Robinson. I didn't see that one coming. I mean, once you said Kamara, I was like, oh, he's going for Sean.
I thought about Gibbs because you
He looks
one
like
guy in
Kamara.
jail, plug another guy in, it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like him.
Yeah, but I think the size that Bijan has is a different element that they haven't had in a while. And I think that because he can play ugly and he can play sexy. So, worst case, he ends up in the Najee Harris kind of situation where he's productive, but not as productive as we all thought. Best case scenario, they get creative because he can run in the slot. He runs routes just as good as any slot receiver in this draft. Like, you can literally, you can just use him as a gadget guy, and he can generate offense because he's that talented. And I think the Saints need that because they need something. Because they're in cap
I mean, there's no quarterback there worth even going for anyway. So
yeah, like there's just
maybe they
nothing
get Derek
else
Carr.
there. Yeah, like there's just nothing. And even if you have Derek Carr, now you give him somebody that can take a lot of weight off and give him a safety valve.
Benji, I'm interested to see where you go here because
I'm interested to see where I go too.
Don't be biased.
Because I'm interested because I already have a feeling where I'm going with the last pick. So I want to see where you go here.
I'm looking at this right here, and here's what I'm looking at. All right, we've already gone over cornerbacks and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Like Forbes is he's a little ways down the line and everything like that, and I don't think they're going to go that route with him right here. Mm-hmm. What I saw and honestly what I called out when we were sitting up here doing the same stupid shit against the Eagles and getting blown out, what their biggest issue is stopping the run. Kansas City ran all over them. When Washington beat them earlier in the season, they ran all over them and controlled the clock. So I'm looking at two positions, both of which are needs on their line, on their defense. One is linebacker, the other one is defensive tackle. Now,
oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Joe knows exactly where I'm thinking at the moment because the two people that I'm looking at in this position are back-to-back, number 37 and 38. Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker out of Alabama, and the guy that I'm actually going to pick, Siaki Ika, the defensive tackle out of Baylor. Because, like I said, going completely unbiased, pair him up with Jordan Davis, and you may not have an offensive line to block anyone.
Nope. Good luck. Godspeed. Good luck. And Siaki Ika is so inconsistent, but in that system where those players hold each other accountable and that coaching staff and everything about that culture is the perfect place for him to get to maximize his potential, to maximize the physical gifts that he has. And because he's playing second fiddle essentially to Jordan Davis, and they both get to learn from him. Yeah, and they both learn from Fletcher Cox. They both learn from that hyper experience line. It's oh god, that was terrible. It's terrifying. Yosef?
Yeah. All right, let's see. So with the last pick in the first round of the draft, I have
Jalen Hyatt.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I mean,
why not?
I mean, I'm really looking at him. So this is the thing. I'm looking at the Chiefs receiver. Their free agents. Mm-hmm. They got Nick Allegretti, Prince Tega Winogo, People that really matter. Tommy Townsend, their punter. Sorry. Kalen Sanders, D tackle. Oop, excuse me. Juan Thornhill, their safety. McCole Hardman's a free agent. McKinnon's a free agent. Blake Bell. Ronald Jones. Chad
Juju.
Henne, he retired.
Yeah,
Andrew
he was
Wiley, Derek Nottie, Carlos Dunlap, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Orlando Brown Jr. are all free agents for the Chiefs right now.
The Orlando Brown one is interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I'm and so this is the reason I was hesitant. I'm looking at three people. I'm looking at Hyatt. I'm looking at Anton Harrison. Just because if you're going to lose, well, you have Orlando Brown Jr. and you have Wiley, and Wiley's a free. That's both of your starting tackles are free agents right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your interior is fine because you have Creed Humphrey, you have Trey Smith, and they have another guy who escaped at the moment.
The dude from the Patriots.
Yeah, Thuney. So you have your interior is perfect. It's the tackles that were now. You can see if you're going to pay Orlando Brown Jr. top left tackle money. And the only thing to me is like I want to give them a receiver because again, McCole Hardman is a free agent, Juju's a free agent. But my main thing is Patrick Mahomes kind of proved that he can do it without a main.
Yeah, so you can wait. You can wait.
You can wait on a receiver. The only other thing I really dark horses I'm looking at is because I named that Rojo's a free agent and I named that McKinnon's a free agent. And now if you can give this man Jahmyr Gibbs,
I was just thinking that too. Yep.
If you give him Gibbs and pair him with Pacheco, I've made my point. I'm giving the Chiefs Jahmyr Gibbs. Because why not? If you're winning Super Bowls with Justin Watson and MVS and Juju as your receivers, do I need to go get snatched? I don't need to. And people are gonna come want to play with me. Like I won the Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes. People are gonna come want to play with me anyway.
And then there's nothing saying that, 2 or 3 rounds down the line, Kansas City isn't on the board and they're sitting there and I'm like, you know what? Let me take Jayden Reed. Let me take him, instead of snatching him up in the because we don't have a 3rd round pick, instead of snatching him up in the 2nd round, we'll take, Xavier Hutchinson or something like that.
Yeah.
Xavier Hutchinson, who else am I thinking of?
Perry, Parker Washington.
Marvin Mims.
There's talent at wide receiver in this draft.
There is. And I mean, again, you're gonna spend all your money on make sure that offensive line is good. So the skill positions, you can just keep the cycle going in terms of, getting talent at the skill position in the draft and just keep those contracts fresh.
You know what else could potentially be dangerous? And this is going for any team who picks him up going on. Kid out of Purdue, the wide receiver. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's Charlie something or other. He right there didn't get a whole lot of production over his first couple of years, but just this past year, sat up here, I think when he transferred over to Purdue, set like the actual NCAA record for receptions just because of the fact that they were just sitting up there like, yeah, it's Charlie Jones, I believe his name is. Yeah. He's like a little, what's his face? I can't remember the guy's name. Dude used to play for the Cardinals way, way back in the day. Slot receiver, but he was a possession slot. I can't remember his name. I keep that, and the funny thing about it is I know it's not him, but I keep wanting to call him Wayne Corbett, and it's not him.
For the Cardinals?
That's what I'm saying. Like I know it's not him, but for some reason, that's the only thing that's popping into my head right now. Ricky Prohl.
Oh, I was looking. I'm like, I was thinking Ricky Prohl. He played for the Panthers. I don't remember on the Cardinals. Okay.
Yeah, but listen, just thinking about anybody who actually picks this kid up, he's undercover right now. I want to see how he does in the combine because I don't think he's not a burner, so I don't think he's going to like really test well as far as your speed numbers. But the kid can catch. He does not drop the ball.
I know of him. I've seen Purdue play because Big Ten,
You're
Penn
a Big
State, and
Ten fan,
everything. But
so
like, yeah, but like, I don't. I mean, there's names, man. Like you said, this receiver class is one of the deepest it's been in years because
yeah.
we left Jalen Hyatt on the board, we left Josh Downs on the board, Zay Flowers, Tank
Hmm.
Dell, Richie Rice, Marvin Mims, Parker Washington, Cedric Tillman,
Yep. I'm keeping an
again.
eye on like later on down the line in the draft and everything. The kid from Princeton.
What's the guy? Oh my
I don't know
gosh,
how to pronounce his name. So I'm not even gonna try.
Isovius, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Senior Bowl too. That kid, yeah, he
Hmm.
played well too. Yeah, I know.
See,
There's
here's my thing: is ours was so logical that I don't think it's gonna happen because I don't think Will Levis drops to 19.
Oh yeah.
the
Somebody's gonna
well, the
trade
draft
up on
never
me to
goes up.
completely
Yeah.
Somebody's
destroy
definitely gonna trade
everything.
up to get Will Levis.
Oh yeah,
And
nobody's gonna sit back.
and of course, what's going to end up happening as the draft approaches, somebody that we're not looking at is going to test out of their minds and out of their production and inevitably just get picked up like, in the top 10 out of nowhere like Trayvon Walker was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yep.
it always happens.
Mm-hmm.
It always happens.
Also, I don't think Anthony, as much as I like Anthony Richardson, I don't think Anthony Richardson goes before Will Levis. I don't think so. I could see it, but I don't think so.
I've been hearing a lot of that dude going to the. Oh, what a play! I've seen a lot of that dude going to the Vikings as of late.
I
I've been
could
seeing a
see
lot.
that actually makes a lot of sense. That makes
I've
a
been seeing a
lot of sense.
lot of Richardson going to the Vikings. A lot of people were
That's
saying
a
like,
lot of sense.
and people were saying like, all right, if that happens, then like some people were like, oh well, you could sit him for Kirk for a year and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were saying like move on from Kirk now because his number's too high. He's supposed to be getting like 35 or 36 next year or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but some people were just like, nah, you can't just take that dude and throw him in day one.
Yeah.
So
Nah.
I haven't seen his name linked a lot to this Vikings lately.
What I like about what we got for the Texans in getting, as much as I have my issues with Quentin Johnston, and you can't, bank on this, if they can get Mechie back, and obviously they're going to trade Cooks for some
Picks.
for picks. And if you can get one of these other specialty kind of guys, like imagine they added Jalen Hyatt, or they add the kid from Cincinnati. Like they add some speed to that, and then you have the big guy, and then you have Mechie as the possession slot guy. Now it's like, okay. And the offensive line isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And you add some talent there. And it's like, the Texans have a bit of an offense here. And now you have Dameon Pierce. And it's like, okay,
doesn't sound bad. I mean, the Texans were hanging with teams last year, and their record doesn't reflect how hard they played.
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
Right,
Like,
because the Texans honestly should have had at least 5 or 6 more wins than they actually did.
like they took the Chiefs to overtime. Like,
yeah,
they took us. They sat up there and took Philly. This is a whole lot of teams to the limit.
And now you take that, and hats off to Lovey. Like hats off to Lovey for that one. So you don't know, like with the change in staff, like you don't really know how that's gonna happen. And you also have a first-time head coach. So taking all that into consideration, like the culture for that team is already that, like, if you give them talent, like they're still scary in a division where they were in it. Even though they lost as much as they did, the division was so bad that they were still in it towards the middle end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So like now you give them a potential all-pro type of talent at quarterback that instantly elevates everyone. And then you add a guy like Quentin Johnston, and then, heaven hope that John Mechie comes back. And then you trade Brandon Cooks for whatever. You trade him for a day 2 pick, and you go out and you get one of these, these guys that drop. Then it's like, oh, okay. And then you add maybe a tight end or something in free agency or in the draft. And then you still have Dameon Pierce on a rookie deal. Then it's like, okay, now we might have something here. And again, that offensive line isn't terrible. Laramie Tunsil is still Laramie Tunsil. The right side of that line is okay. You know, your issue may be at center and left guard, but at that point, like, I'm running the fucking ball. I don't really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Texans are not as far off as people think they are. I think they're probably, in terms of, you know, maximizing potential, they're a lot closer than the Colts are. Because the Colts, I mean, you keep saying they're a quarterback away, but other positions didn't play well either. Like, what is Shaquille Leonard going to look like next year after coming off back surgery? You know what I'm saying? Like, they have a lot more question marks than the Texans do. The Texans just are devoid of talent.
I think the Texans are going to be like the Lions were this year, where
Yeah.
you were in all those close games if you only lost by 1, 2, 3 points,
Yeah.
and you just had those losses, and you're going to sit up here next year and be the same thing with the Lions, just the ability to finish and win.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's going to happen with these guys. Because, like you said, like we were saying, like if they're going to sit up here and be battling the two teams that went to the Super Bowl down to the wire, it wasn't just like you were 0-17 and you were getting rolled 40-0 every week. It wasn't that. Like you were losing 25-24 on a last second field goal, like almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see. That's it. That mock draft one's in the books. So so we'll check back and we'll go at it again after free agency, after the combine and everything.
And
Get some pro days.
for those people, we'll post it on our Facebook, on our Instagram, and all that. We'll post the full results of our first round. You guys can tear it apart. We know you probably are. It's cool. We love it. We love the feedback. We love the interaction. Just, you know, share it, like, comment, subscribe. If it's terrible, share it, like, comment, subscribe, and tell us how bad it is. You know,
pretty much.
We truly don't care. There are no egos here. We don't give a flying feck at all. But yeah, I defer it back to you. I just wanted to get that out there.
Oh no, that's it. If we ain't got anything else, I think we're out for the night. I think that's it. All right, till next time, everybody. Thanks for watching as always. As Jay said, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, share. We're 2 subscribers away from our first 100. Sorry, 3 subscribers away from our first 100 followers on YouTube. Been pushing that for a while. So any subscribe helps. If you know somebody, send them the channel. Help us push to those first 100 subscribers. But as always, it's the nosebleed section until mock draft 2.0. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday.